Hi, and welcome to a video. Today I am here with my wonderful wife, Leah, and we are going to be making an adapter for this funky old Wollensak tape recorder. So just to give you all some context for what we're doing and why, we found this very cool reel-to-reel tape recorder that came with this very cool mic. The only downside is this mic has a weird, stumpy little plug on the end of it. And the recorder has, a stumpy little receptacle for that plug. And what we wanted to do is be able to plug in any microphone we want, or potentially even a guitar, because it's an old tube-driven tape deck with a PA mode that basically turns it into a guitar amp. So we can basically use it as a tube preamp once we have a more standard plug-in. So what we'll be doing is cutting the cable on this microphone. We'll be making one adapter box on the plug end that will let us plug the stumpy plug into the tape recorder box, and then plug a standard cable into that. And then on the other side, we're going to do the same thing for the microphone. That way we can connect the microphone to the tape recorder using a standard 1/4-inch cable. So the first thing we have to do is put together an enclosure for our 1/4-inch jacks. So the first thing you want to do is just pop the bottom off the enclosures.
There we go.
The next thing we'll do is drill holes in I don't know how to describe this well, this end. One of these ends.
These guys?
Yeah, one of the short ends, I guess is.
Yeah.
Using the big drill bit.
Hamburger, not hot dog.
And if you want to, you can use the X-Acto knife to make a little divot before you start to drill. That helps keep, especially with these big drill bits. And just blast a hole right through there. Just watch your fingers.
Oh, wow. When that was out, that was out.
On the other end, we're going to do the same thing, just with a smaller hole. And this hole is going to be to let the cable through. So now we are at the fun part where we get to break stuff.
Ooh.
So over in the tool holder, there are 2 different wire cutters. The one with the red handle is for big wire. Yeah. And so move the cable to about 1 foot away from the end of the plug. We'll leave ourselves plenty of room.
Got this?
There you go, yeah. And then, just go ahead and cut it off.
Oh.
Try to strip it. Start using the biggest hole on the wire strippers. Mm-hmm. And if it's too big, then you move it up 1. Okay, so we've got wire shielding on the outside. And then if you peel that metal wrapping away.
It's like braided.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like clear almost.
And is there just 1 wire inside the clear thing?
It looks like it, but hard telling.
Okay, it probably is. So, shielded wire like this, basically the braid outside part is the ground connection. And then the part inside the little insulated bit is going to be our hot connection, or our positive connection.
Okay. Is this enough room to wire, or do I need to strip some more off?
Oh, that should be enough room.
Okay. So do I strip the little guy?
Yep.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So you can try using this guy. If none of those teeth are small enough, then we'll swap to the yellow-handled one that does smaller wire.
So afraid of pulling it out.
That's a good point you bring up, and why we cut a lot of extra length, so that way if we screw up during the stripping process, we just cut it and go again.
Nice. There we go. It's free.
So now for our next step, we're going to install a jack in one of the enclosures. So to install it, from the inside, you're just going to put the little nubbin through the hole.
All right.
And you'll use a washer. Slide over that.
Oh, in the front?
Yeah.
That looks like a guitar pedal.
Yeah. And then, you just use the little nut to clamp that down.
The correct direction always helps.
So on this jack, there are 5 different connection points. We're only going to worry about 3 of them. So one of them has like a cut corner.
The tilted one?
Yeah, so look at the blue part and see how it's a square, except one corner is kind of cut flat.
Oh, yeah.
So that is your ground connection. And that's where we're gonna solder the braided part of the wire.
Okay.
The other 2 we're gonna worry about are, you'll notice how of the other 4 connectors, 2 are solid and 2 have gaps in them. Yeah, see the little gap in the base there. So the ones that have a gap, those are the left and right connections. And the ones that are solid, those are what are called switched connections. So those are useful if you have something like, this is a headphone jack, and when you plug it in, you want it to disconnect a speaker. You would use those other 2 points to connect the speaker, and it would automatically disconnect when something got plugged into this jack. But in our case, we're just going to ignore those 2 points. We're not going to use them. So what you're going to do is you're going to slide the cut wire through the other hole that we made. Coming in from the outside, yeah.
That makes more sense. I see why the string is long.
And then I tricked you. We're not actually going to solder this directly on, at least not yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to attach 220 ohm resistors to the left and right connectors. And what this does is, since this is a microphone, it's only mono, so we only have one hot connection. So by using these little resistors, we can send our hot connection out to both the left and the right channels on the plug, but because there's a little bit of resistance on the line, it's going to basically prevent it from flowing backwards and causing feedback. So that way we don't create any extra noise in the system, even though we're kind of duplicating this. And the nice thing there is then we can use a basically a stereo source, and it will sum the left and right together and put them both through our amplifier. What you'll do is you'll just stick one end of the resistor through the little holes there.
The top hole?
Yeah. And then you can just bend the little wire leads however you want to basically hold them in place.
Only through one?
Yeah, just through one connector.
Okay.
And then you have a choice here. You can either stick the other one in, or we can solder that one down before we try to mess with it. And it is
Let's stick the other one in.
entirely up to you.
And it goes...
Hey, look for the other one that has a gap like this.
Oh, okay. It looks like a guy standing with a wide stance.
Yeah, a little cowboy stance.
Yeah. Alex wears the cowboy hat in our relationship.
This is not true, and I think everyone on the internet knows it.
Okay. It's another
then-
close-ish together, but not touching.
The other end that is not connected to the jack on both of those, so it's hard to explain verbally. See this other side connection?
Yeah.
Those two we're eventually gonna make one and bring them together.
Okay.
You can either do that now or wait till we've soldered.
Okay, I'll do that now. So you said the side that doesn't have the resistor hanging off it? Those two are
Yeah, basically
married?
the side that's not connected to the jack of both resistors. Those you can kind of twist together.
So this one?
I think so. Hard to tell.
This one?
No, so that's the one that's connected to the jack. The one you're holding in your left hand.
Oh, this one.
Yeah.
I see. And so the same on the other one. So. This is trickier than I would have thought.
Yeah, they like to flop around everywhere. Now we get to burninate stuff. The first thing you do is dip the end in the little cleaning thing. Heat up the joint. And now you can bring in the solder. It's not going. Try to get, a little more surface area of the soldering iron on the joint. You may also need to put a little bit of solder on the tip to get things moving.
Oh. I see things are smoking. How's it looking?
So basically you want to flood that joint so that the little hole is full of solder. Yeah, try using the thicker part of that hook on the soldering iron. So the bigger the surface area you touch, the more heat it will transfer.
Uh-oh.
Oh yeah, you want to pull the solder away first every time. What do you think? Do you have a nice soldered joint?
You know, it looks pretty good. Clean that up a little bit. Oh, wow. Yeah, check it out.
Oh yeah, that looks great.
Yay!
And so now you will repeat with the other one.
Okay. How's that look?
I think that looks good.
Nice.
And you don't have to use those little holes, but I find them really handy because it's easy to spot and they kind of fill up with solder.
Yeah, it's a good target to aim for.
And then the next thing we're going to do is where you twisted the two resistors together,
Yeah.
we're just going to flood that with solder. This really doesn't have to be pretty, it's just to kind of hold it all together.
Okay. I'm going to bend it a little bit more.
I would bend it up.
Oh, bend
Because
it up.
later we're going to attach the microphone wire to this.
Ah, okay. So I want to make that kind of just a nice big ball.
Yeah.
Make it easy for myself later.
So the bigger the part of the hook you use, the hotter it gets quicker. And remember you don't have to swap them out. Just keep the soldering iron planted. And then move the solder in and out.
Well, that is hard to remember.
Yeah.
I want to like manual drive it, you know? Like,
There you go. That looks pretty good to me. A nice healthy blob. So now, before you put away your soldering iron, you always coat it in solder.
ah.
So you are just right on your instincts to clean it off. We always want to clean it off, and then we just soak it in solder. And don't be shy. You really can't put too much on there. Just to quickly recap, what we've done so far is get resistors soldered onto the audio jack. That way we don't have any crosstalk between the left and right channel, since it's going to be just one audio signal going to both. And the next thing we're going to do is solder our plug wires to the ground and left and right connections on this jack. So to make that a little easier, we took the jack out of the enclosure. So next we're going to separate the braided sheathing for the ground connection. With that, you can kind of put your finger on the very end of it and kind of pull away, and it'll kind of start to spread out. And you kind of spread it all out to one side and separate it from the center wire.
Okay.
Next, you will strip off not much, but just the last bit of cracked plastic on the hot wire.
Okay.
In the middle.
And I've learned not to use the cutting part. Use the root part. Okay. So, I think I remember this was on like the smallest one. So you only want a very tiny bit of that exposed, you said?
Maybe about like a third of what you got there.
Okay.
So next we're going to solder the braid to the little clipped corner, which is the ground connection of the audio jack.
Through here? Can it be at the top? Or does it have to be in the middle?
It doesn't matter where. It can go anywhere on there.
Okay.
And
the other one is going to go to here?
Yeah.
Okay.
To where those two resistors meet.
So, I feel like it would be easiest to just shove it through here, right?
Yeah, that'll probably help hold it in place.
Okay. And then I'll just curve it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. Okay. I feel good about this.
Nice. And one thing that helps with soldering, especially those braids, is you can use some flux that just helps the solder flow better. Yeah, let's go ahead and just put a few drops of that on the solder joint where the braid meets the plug. And it'll kind of flow itself around.
Oh.
And it's no problem if you get some on your fingers, it's just sticky and not fun. But, alright, I think we're ready to solder, so go ahead and cut on the iron and I'll get the fan. And then, now that they are soldered, we will just put our jack in the enclosure and tighten it up.
I didn't think about the bend. Oh, this is not...
It should be flexible.
Okay. Alright, that feels pretty good. And the solder's held.
Beautiful. So that is 1/2 done.
Okay.
And next we're just going to do the same thing with the microphone side. So go ahead and just strip the end of the microphone cable. And like before, you can strip a good inch or two off. Yeah, give yourself plenty to work with.
And not cut. Yeah, I think that's about how much I did last time.
Yeah.
That's really good. And are we putting resistors on these ones too, or no?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
We're going to do it the same way. That way, if we use a stereo cable, it'll just double the signal.
That makes
I think we said it before, but these are just little 220 ohm resistors. So a really low value, because we don't want to bog down the audio signal. We just want to keep it from going backwards and causing any noise. And like last time, I'll fire up the fan, and you can get the iron, heat your joint, and then use the biggest part of the hook you can. The little tip doesn't provide too much heat transfer. Next up, just like before, we are going to solder the braid to the little clipped corner connection, just the ground on this kind of jack.
clipped corner. Oh, yeah, this one. Okay, so we're just gonna rotate that around. Okay, so, and then this one's gonna go on the end of this one?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, just like before, where the two resistors meet. And then, whenever you are ready, fire up the iron. It's looking good.
That's much more aesthetically pleasing than the last one.
And then, yeah, we'll just install it in the enclosure. And then we should be good, so we're gonna cut to go grab some gear and be right back to test it out.
So we have our microphone now connected through this box, cord running through that nice little hole we drilled for it, and then the output is a normal sized audio jack, and that's running in through the mixer that we've got back there behind this whole setup. Hello, hello, hello. Hello! That sounds pretty good. And it's got a pop filter, so I can say these penguins polka-ed on their way to the pizza party, and it doesn't sound too bad. Alright, so for the input that we have to the PA, it's running through our little translator box again, and we have this hooked up to a Roland SK88 Pro. So I'm pretty excited to see how this sounds played through the PA. So the instrument that I'll be using, the Roland, it is stereo, but luckily it's translating these mono signals into a format. It just flattens them out so we don't get just one-sided left or right audio.
Yeah, I think now with these little boxes, we have a lot more flexibility. We can use that microphone separately with other mixers, or we can run it into this thing using standard cables. The last thing we'll do, we'll just close up these enclosures. A lot of times what I do, and we might do off camera because it's not very thrilling, is just dump some hot glue where this wire comes in. And that just prevents any tension if we accidentally pull on it. That prevents the tension from going into the solder joints. But other than that, I'm pretty happy with how this came out. How about you?
I love it. That has the nice vintage sound without having to do a lot of noise distortion.
Yeah, for real. Now that tube overdrive sounds super good. I hope it came through in the audio. I'll find out when we're mixing this down. But in person, at least, it sounds really good. Yeah, I think that'll do it for this one. So doing the liking and subscribing, and leave comments if you want to see more team up videos like this. If you thought this was a cool format, we could make it a segment or something, as long as Lee's willing to put up with me. And yeah, I think that's all the things I'm supposed to say at the end of a video. So thanks so much for watching.